Welcome to StoaTherapy, where Stoic wisdom meets modern self-mastery. If you're ready to free your mind and take control of your life, let's begin. Being too nice, 12 signs it's secretly destroying your life. Kindness is one of the most admirable qualities a person can have. It builds relationships, fosters trust, and makes the world a better place. But what if I told you that kindness, when unchecked, can also be one of the biggest obstacles to your happiness, success, and mental health? What if your generosity was actually being used against you? Most people assume that the more they give, the more they will receive. But this is not always the case. In fact, excessive kindness can often lead to emotional exhaustion, resentment and frustration, loss of identity and self-worth, manipulation and exploitation by others, missed opportunities, and unfulfilled potential. This is not a call to stop being kind. It's a call to balance your kindness with wisdom, strength, and self-respect. Here are 12 ways that excessive kindness might be ruining your life without you even realizing it. 1. Saying yes when you want to say no. When was the last time you said yes to something you truly didn't want to do? A friend asks for a favor and you agree, even though it inconveniences you. A colleague dumps extra work on you and you accept it, despite feeling overwhelmed. A family member makes unreasonable demands and you comply just to avoid conflict. Saying yes when you really mean no is a form of self-betrayal. The psychology behind it. This behavior stems from deep-rooted conditioning that often begins in childhood. Psychologists call it people-pleasing syndrome, a pattern where individuals fear rejection or disapproval if they set boundaries, feel anxious at the thought of disappointing others, believe that saying no makes them selfish, rude, or unkind. The reality: constantly saying yes does not make people respect you more, it makes them respect you less. A study conducted by Kowalski and Leary, 1990, found that people who struggle to say no experience higher levels of stress and anxiety, increased risk of burnout and exhaustion, feelings of resentment toward the very people they are trying to please. What Stoicism teaches us. The Stoics believed that true freedom comes from mastering one's own choices. Epictetus reminds us, you cannot control how others see you, but you can control the choices you make. Marcus Aurelius challenges us with a question. Would you entrust your soul to another person's judgment? Then why do you let others dictate your decisions? Saying no is not rejection. It is an assertion of your own priorities, time, and self-respect. How to break free one? Understand that no is a complete sentence. You don't owe anyone an explanation. Second, practice small refusals. Start with minor things and build up your confidence. 3. Realize that saying yes all the time is a fast track to exhaustion and resentment. 4. Accept that people who truly care about you will respect your boundaries. If they don't, that's their issue, not yours. 2. Not setting boundaries. A lack of boundaries doesn't just leave you vulnerable, it makes you a magnet for emotional vampires, manipulators, and users. If you do not set limits on how people treat you, they will push as far as you allow them. The psychology behind it. Dr. Henry Cloud, in his book Boundaries, explains that people without firm limits become emotionally exhausted from always putting others first, experience manipulation because they don't know how to say no, feel trapped in toxic relationships because they never enforce consequences. Many people avoid setting boundaries because they fear losing friendships or relationships, being seen as cold or unkind, dealing with confrontation. But here's the truth. People who respect you will respect your boundaries. Those who don't respect your boundaries never respected you in the first place. What Stoicism teaches us. Marcus Aurelius offers a stark warning. If you do not take control of your time, others will use it for you. Epictetus adds, "It's not about what others demand from you, it's about what you allow." A Stoic understands that personal peace is a result of clear boundaries and firm decisions. If you constantly allow people to invade your space, demand your time, and control your emotions, you are surrendering your freedom. How to break free? 1. Recognize that boundaries are a form of self-respect, not selfishness. 2. Practice saying no without guilt or hesitation. 3. Limit your availability. People do not need 24/7 access to you. 4. If someone pushes past your limits, reinforce them. The wrong people will leave, but the right people will stay. 3. Neglecting your self-care. When did taking care of yourself become something to feel guilty about? Society often romanticizes self-sacrifice, portraying those who put others first as noble, virtuous, and worthy of admiration. But in reality, if you are constantly prioritizing others at the expense of yourself, you will burn out. The psychology behind it. Dr. Jordan Peterson puts it bluntly. Fix yourself first, then fix the world. Neglecting self-care leads to chronic stress and fatigue, emotional instability and anxiety, physical health problems. A study by Smith et al., 2018, found that people who neglect self-care have a 40% higher risk of developing depression and anxiety, are more likely to suffer from sleep disorders, experience lower levels of happiness and satisfaction in life. What Stoicism teaches us. Seneca, one of the great Stoic thinkers, reminds us, "He who neglects his body and soul neglects life itself." Self-care is not indulgence, it is maintenance. A warrior does not enter battle with a dull sword. Why would you go through life with an exhausted body and mind? How to break free? 1. Reclaim your right to rest. You are not a machine. 2. Prioritize mental and physical well-being. Your body and mind deserve attention. 3. Stop waiting for permission to take care of yourself. You are responsible for your well-being. 4. Understand that you cannot help others effectively if you are falling apart yourself. 4. Taking on other people's responsibilities. How many times have you stepped in to help someone only to find yourself doing all the work while they sit back and watch? How often have you taken on extra emotional burdens, financial obligations, or work tasks that weren't yours to begin with? Being supportive is a beautiful quality, but carrying other people's weight too often will break your back. The psychology behind it. This pattern is known as the rescuer syndrome. Dr. Melody Beattie explains that those who constantly take on the responsibilities of others often feel guilty when they refuse to help, believe their worth comes from being needed, enable dependency instead of fostering independence. At first, you may feel good about helping, but over time, people begin to expect it. What started as generosity turns into obligation. Before you know it, you're not just helping, you're doing everything. The worst part? If you ever stop, people won't thank you for all your past efforts. They'll just ask why you're not doing more. What Stoicism teaches us. Epictetus gives a sharp reminder. Carrying another's burden may bring them temporary relief, but it does not make them stronger. Marcus Aurelius expands on this idea. If you always carry another's weight, neither of you will move forward. By constantly rescuing people, you are actually making them weaker. You are denying them the chance to develop resilience, problem-solving skills, and responsibility. How to break free. 1. Help others by guiding them, not by doing everything for them. Teach them how to carry their own weight. 2. Realize that saying no does not make you a bad person. It makes you a wise one. 3. If someone repeatedly expects you to fix their problems, step back and ask, is this really my responsibility? 5. Feeling sorry for toxic people. Kind-hearted people often have one major weakness. They believe that if they are just patient, loving, and understanding enough, they can heal broken people. This is one of the most dangerous illusions, because some people do not want to heal. Some people will use your kindness, your compassion, and your guilt as a way to keep you trapped. The psychology behind it. Dr. Robert Firestone warns that toxic individuals often play the victim to gain sympathy and control. Use guilt as a weapon to manipulate kind-hearted people. Drain your energy while offering nothing in return. A study found that people in toxic relationships are 50% more likely to develop depression and anxiety. Toxic people thrive on your compassion. The more you give, the more they take. What Stoicism teaches us. Marcus Aurelius makes it clear, if you are exposed to too much poison, you will become poisoned yourself. Stoicism teaches detachment from things beyond our control. If someone chooses to remain toxic, that is their choice. How to break free. 1. Recognize when your empathy is being exploited. 2. You are not responsible for fixing others. They must fix themselves. 3. If someone repeatedly drains your energy and brings negativity, walk away. 6. Staying in relationships that drain you. If someone continuously makes you feel exhausted, unappreciated, or disrespected, why are they still in your life? Too often we hold on to relationships that no longer serve us out of fear, guilt, or nostalgia. The psychology behind it. Psychologists explain that many people stay in toxic relationships due to trauma bonding, where the cycle of abuse and affection creates an addictive emotional pattern. Fear of being alone, even if the relationship is harmful. The sunk cost fallacy, where people stay because they've already invested so much time and effort. But here's the truth. If someone repeatedly makes you feel unworthy, unloved, or unseen, they are not your person. What Stoicism teaches us. Seneca warns, a sinking ship will take you down with it. Marcus Aurelius asks, would you rather be alone and free, or trapped and miserable? How to break free. 1. Stop making excuses for mistreatment. Your feelings are valid. 2. Ask yourself, if I met this person today, would I choose them? 3. If a relationship is draining you, let it go. Period. 7. Sacrificing your dreams for others. Are you putting your life on hold for someone else? How long have you been waiting for the right time to chase your goals? If you keep sacrificing your dreams for others, you will wake up one day and realize you have nothing left for yourself. The psychology behind it. Dr. Nathaniel Branden warns that when we continuously prioritize others' dreams over our own, we develop low self-worth, experience deep regret later in life, lose our sense of purpose and identity. What Stoicism teaches us, Marcus Aurelius states, your time is limited. Do not waste it living someone else's life. Seneca warns, He who delays his own life for others will soon find he has lived for nothing. How to break free? 1. Understand that your dreams matter. 2. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. It will never come. 3. Take action today. If not now, then when? 8. Seeking validation through kindness. If your self-worth is based on how much you do for others, you will never feel enough. The psychology behind it. Studies show that people who rely on external validation are more likely to experience anxiety and depression, prone to emotional manipulation, constantly exhausted from overgiving. What Stoicism teaches us. Epictetus reminds us, a man who seeks approval will always be a servant. True self-worth comes from within, not from how much others appreciate you. How to break free? 1. Give because you want to, not because you need approval. 2. Your value is not defined by how much you sacrifice. 3. Stop seeking external validation and start validating yourself. 9. Fear of conflict and confrontation. Do you avoid confrontation at all costs? Do you find yourself biting your tongue even when something bothers you? Do you tolerate disrespect, manipulation, or unfair treatment just to keep the peace? If so, understand this. Avoiding conflict doesn't prevent problems, it allows them to grow. The psychology behind it. This pattern is known as conflict avoidance behavior, and it stems from deep-rooted fears, such as fear of rejection, thinking that standing up for yourself will push people away, fear of angering others, believing that conflict will lead to uncontrollable emotions, fear of being disliked, assuming that disagreeing makes you a bad person. People who struggle with confrontation often develop passive-aggressive tendencies. Instead of directly expressing their needs, they suppress them until resentment builds up. A study by Gross and John, 2003, found that individuals who habitually avoid conflict experience higher levels of stress and anxiety, are more likely to suffer from low self-esteem, have weaker personal relationships because they never express their true emotions. Here's the reality. You cannot have authentic relationships without conflict. If you never speak up, people won't know they're crossing a line. If you avoid difficult conversations, you will end up carrying all the emotional burden yourself. What Stoicism teaches us? Stoicism teaches us that conflict is natural, necessary, and unavoidable. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, if speaking your truth causes conflict, then let there be conflict. Epictetus adds, it is better to be hated for what you are than loved for what you are not. How to break free? 1. Recognize that avoiding conflict does not create peace. It creates silent suffering. 2. Start standing up for yourself in small situations. The more you do it, the easier it becomes. 3. Accept that some relationships will not survive your truth, and that's okay. 4th, stop prioritizing others' comfort over your own dignity. 10. Letting guilt control your actions. Guilt can be a powerful motivator, but when it controls your decisions, it becomes a prison. Do you say yes because you want to, or because you feel guilty if you don't? Do you help people out of love or out of obligation? If guilt is the reason you keep sacrificing, overextending, and exhausting yourself, you are living a life dictated by emotional manipulation. The psychology behind it. This is called false responsibility syndrome, where people feel responsible for other people's emotions, problems, and happiness. Dr. Guy Winch explains that chronic guilt leads to self-neglect because you are always prioritizing others, creates one-sided relationships where you give and others take, results in resentment and burnout because you never feel like you are doing enough. What Stoicism teaches us. Stoicism teaches that guilt should never dictate your choices. Marcus Aurelius states, "Never act out of guilt, but out of reason." Seneca adds, "If someone blames you unfairly, their judgment is not your burden to carry." This means you must learn to separate real responsibility from false guilt. You are not responsible for how other people feel when you set boundaries, solving problems that others created for themselves, constantly putting yourself last just to keep others happy. How to break free. 1. Whenever you feel guilty, ask yourself, is this really my responsibility? 2. Start making decisions based on logic, not guilt-driven emotions. 3. Realize that true kindness comes from choice, not from obligation. 11. Forgiving without accountability. Forgiveness is powerful, but forgiveness without accountability is a trap. How many times have you forgiven someone just because you didn't want to hold a grudge? How often have you let someone back into your life without them changing their behavior? Here's the truth. People who hurt you and face no consequences will hurt you again. The psychology behind it. Psychologists call this toxic forgiveness, where people forgive too quickly just to avoid discomfort. Ignore red flags in the hope that people will change. Feel guilty for holding others accountable. Studies by McCullough et al., 2014, show that forgiving too easily can actually encourage repeat offenses because there are no consequences, lower self-respect because it teaches your subconscious that your pain doesn't matter, damage trust in relationships because boundaries are never enforced. Forgiveness does not mean letting people back into your life without conditions, pretending nothing happened, ignoring patterns of harmful behavior. What Stoicism teaches us. Seneca teaches, forgiveness must be given, but trust must be earned. Marcus Aurelius adds, do not hold on to anger, but do not allow yourself to be deceived twice. Stoicism teaches balance. Let go of resentment, but do not allow yourself to be repeatedly harmed. How to break free. 1. Forgive for your peace, but do not forget for their convenience. 2. Make people earn back trust through actions, not words. 3. Understand that walking away is sometimes the best way to forgive. 12. Putting everyone else first. How often do you feel exhausted, drained, and overlooked, yet continue to put everyone else first? If you always prioritize others, who is prioritizing you? The psychology behind it. This is known as self-destructive altruism, where people believe their worth is tied to how much they sacrifice for others, feel guilty if they put themselves first, ignore their own needs until burnout takes over. Dr. Nathaniel Branden explains that people who never put themselves first struggle with low self-esteem, experience resentment and inner conflict, have deep regret later in life for all they gave up. What Stoicism teaches us. Marcus Aurelius delivers a powerful message. Your time is limited. Do not waste it living someone else's life. Seneca warns, he who delays his own life for others will soon find he has lived for nothing. Stoicism teaches balance. Help others, but do not disappear in the process. How to break free. 1. Understand that self-care is not selfish, it is survival. 2. Recognize that you cannot pour from an empty cup. 3. Start prioritizing yourself, because no one else will do it for you. It's time to take back your life. If your kindness is causing emotional exhaustion, one-sided relationships, resentment, frustration and burnout, constant guilt and self-sacrifice. Then it's time to rethink how you are giving. Being kind should never mean betraying yourself. True kindness is given with wisdom, strength, and boundaries. It's time to ask yourself, am I truly being kind, or am I just afraid to put myself first? Take back control. Your life is yours. Live it on your terms.